Well, good evening, everybody. This is Apostle Crystal Lee. Excited as always to be here with you and to go through this process, this dimension of Sukkot with you, this dimension of this Moed with you. It's always exciting. I promise you, it's exciting, and I'm even more excited to delve into the mysteries that the Father wants to reveal to us tonight. My brother won't be with me tonight, but I'll have people on tomorrow and Friday, and um, but I had to just kind of. Settle down earlier today. I had a couple of things going on. I really wanted to get some kind of focus for what the Father wanted to say and direction that He wanted to take us in. And so I just pushed the time back a little bit so that we would have just a little bit more time to just sit in His presence. And I'm excited about whatever He wants to reveal to us tonight. I'm absolutely ecstatic about that. If you're in the room, just say hello. Looks like I'm looking at the chat. Um, But what I see on the chat, let me see here. If I can get this thing to do the right thing, because I see somebody commenting in the chat already, but I don't see that on the actual in the actual studio. So that's a little bit confusing to me. A little bit confusing. And if that's my brother, yeah, if that's my brother that's been on, um, then cool. I appreciate you texting and letting me know what's going on with you. I love the fellowship and love the conversation. I'm in Eastern Standard Time. So I don't know where you are. So I guess from now on, I need to ask people or let people know what time zone I'm in so that they can keep up with what's going on. But if you just subscribe and then press the bell notification, make sure it's at the top, select the top one. That way, anytime I go live, it will let you know that I am live. Okay. So do that. I'm in Eastern Standard Time for sure, but I appreciate you catching up on the videos. Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm open. Awesome. You're the age. You're in the age bracket of a couple of my children, so I love that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Um, let's get into this today. Let's get into this. I want to start by opening up with prayer today. Um, I just want to say some things that are going to open up the atmosphere for us here tonight and help us to be able to receive what the Father wants to say to us. We're in day 4 of this Sukkot dimension, 6785, Feast of Tabernacles, and we are still on the subject of the sword of Enigma. This is part 2 of that, and we're in Cipher 3, so we are in the cutting realm. And so we want to talk about the sword of Enigma. We want to talk about the cutting again today. I don't believe the Father was finished discussing this with us yesterday, so I wanted to definitely let it spill over into today. Um, Father, when we become yielded ones to the precision of the righteous cutting of your word, when then we become the sword that's wielded in your hand. And that's what we want to be tonight. We want to become the yielded ones. And we know that you are precise, that you're intentional, and you're putting us in a position where uh, there is an addressing of deployments of darkness that are set against us. So you put us in an offensive position by your word, by the sword that you are wielding. We believe and we understand that your word declares that the sword is the word of Yah. And so we thank you today that you are giving us this offensive instrument, this threshing instrument to begin to address the deployments of darkness against our families, against our children, against the people that we love, against those that are set to be discipled by us, those that are in our spheres of influence. You are giving us this offensive instrument for the purpose of deploying assaults against the darkness. So by your word, you're giving us access to the secrets of darkness. And I love this because there are hidden conversations. But what you brought to my mind today was Gideon, who went to the camp of his enemies. As this is after you've chosen him, he went to the camp of his enemies and he heard the terror of the enemy in that moment. And I believe that what you're releasing in this hour is the terror against our enemies, the enemies of our family bloodlines, the enemies, Father, that come to try to derail destiny. So you allowed Gideon, who first of all thought he wasn't fit for what you were calling him. He thought that he was not equipped for what you were calling him to do. He didn't realize that just the fact that he was made in your image and likeness, that he was capable, and all he had to do was be activated. So tonight we make ourselves available for your activation. As they heard the terror of that enemy, it was declared their defeat, because the one who was speaking began to talk about a dream. And what you allowed to be seen in the dream was this loaf of bread that came down the hill and toppled their tents. And you revealed to them the one you called, who was to himself the least of the least tribe of Israel. And he was that loaf of bread that would bring them to their end. As he tore down the altar, so do we tear down every diabolic altar that seeks establishment in the midst of our families, in the midst of those we love. We thank you for the revealing of the secrets of the chambers within us, even so that we would stand and declare your righteous decree concerning us and our bloodline. And I'm going to repeat it again, because we're thanking you for the revealing to us the secrets of the chambers that are within us, so that we would be able to righteously declare, to stand and righteously declare your decree concerning us and our bloodline. Thank you for freedom from every adversary seeking to separate us from the purposes that you've established in us before the foundation of the world. So tonight we yield, Father, that you would always reveal us to ourselves and reveal yourself to us, so that as we see you, we become. And as we seek you with all of our hearts, our minds, and our strength, Father, we are able to behold and to go beyond the place that we saw ourselves before, even as Gideon did, as he tore down those altars. That was a supernatural transition in his heart and in his mind. I'm praying for that same supernatural transition in the hearts and the minds of these people tonight that will hear me. I'm praying for that supernatural conversion in their spirit, Father, that they would understand that because you formed them and gave them purpose, they are equipped for the work that you're calling them to do. Now, Father, may this be the hour of the greatest seek of their lives. May they inquire daily about what it is that you're desiring for them to do, just as I am inquiring daily about what it is you're desiring for me to do. You've allowed us to see the end from the beginning. We've seen some parts and pieces of some things, but Father, as they are unfolding, it's more to it than what we saw. And so we thank you right now for the process that you've taken us through, that you've allowed us to walk through, that you brought us through, because some of that was so tumultuous, Father. If we had not known you, we may not have made it. But we thank you for the knowledge of who you are, and for this name that is a strong tower, for your authority that's a strong tower that has allowed us to identify this secret place in you that we can run and be safe. We thank you tonight for your word, and for it piercing us and cutting us in the places that we need to be pierced and we need to be cut, so that we can become that weapon in your hands that is necessary to defeat every adversary. And we declare it is so right now. So be it. Maybe these texts were a little bit earlier. I'm thinking maybe they were earlier. But I'm thankful that you guys are here. I'm thankful for who is here, and I'm thankful for those that will be listening to the broadcast after the fact. The sword of Enigma, it's a divine decoding instrument. I was questioning these conversations when the Father began to talk to me about them, because, you know, sometimes things are not only bigger than y'all, but sometimes it feels bigger than me. You understand? And the truth of the matter is that the Father will do what he does the way that he does, so that we will not ever think that we can do a thing by ourselves. That we would always identify the fact that he is the source, that he is the foundation. And without him, we're nothing. It's in him we live, we move, and we have our being. And it's just a matter of fact. So I'm thankful for him constantly taking me out of the box. I'm thankful for him constantly taking me out of the comfort zone. I don't want to live in the comfort zone. I want to live in the zone of revelation. I want to live in the zone of ascension. I want to live in the zone of supernal and eternal activity. And that's what has to become the norm for the sons in this age. I believe that's what he's doing with us. He's taking us from that place that we've been deeming normal. And now that is becoming abnormal to us because we're running after him in this season. We want to know. We want to know what it is he wants to reveal. We want to understand when it's being revealed what it is. And so that's got to become our norm, that we would inquire about the secret things. I was dreaming about something last night, and it's the first thing I woke up this morning. I woke up, I grabbed my phone, and I'm going to grab my pen before I go to bed tonight because I want to write it out as I set it into my phone. But it was dark, and I didn't want to disturb my husband by turning on the light and writing, because I've tried to write in the dark before with no success. Okay, with no success. So I spoke it into my phone, but I believe writing it down is going to be even more powerful because it's going to allow me to see it. It's something about the hand-brain connection that happens when you write something down. It already begins to unfold itself. So there are moments, I believe, in eternity when heaven exhales, and that moment of exhalation is the encrypted mysteries. That's where the encrypted mysteries begin to vibrate at the approach of light. It's that imminent place of revelation, like in the beginning when the Father said, "Let there be light." I believe that everything was hanging on just the vibration, the anticipation or the expectation of his word. Like the word declares that the earth is waiting on the manifested sons of Yah to come into their position. Why? Why is it in travail? Why is there movement? Why is there activity there? Because there is an expectation that we would show up. So I believe we're standing in one of those moments right now where the air itself feels like it's been written upon. I'm looking daily at, as it were, to things that look like frequencies are continuously shifting, and codes are realigning and realms are recalibrating. It's this constant movement of the supernal that is capturing my attention in this moment. And I'm believing that it's capturing the attention of all of the sons. You know what my prayer is this year? Well, some things I'm noticing as well. It seems to me that there is a busyness around this time. There's an extreme busyness. I don't know what people are actually doing, but it seems to me that there is a unusual activity of busyness in this season. But what I'm believing for, because this is one of the moeds that the word declares that all of the nations are going to acknowledge this time. All of the nations are going to acknowledge this time in the new kingdom. All of them, all nations are going to acknowledge it. So I'm declaring that this is a season, and that this time next year, that there is more recognition of this time for the sons. Yeah, I believe there are a lot of people that are sons, but I don't believe that they even understand the nature of these times. I don't believe that they understand the significance or the valuable nature of this time concerning the rest of their year, concerning the beginning of the next year, and even the continuation of the year that we're in. I don't understand, or I'm not clear that I understand what the busyness is, but it's almost concerning. It's almost concerning, but I believe that Yah is doing what he's doing in this time to make sure that everybody is in their proper alignment to do whatever it is that they've been called to do on the earth. And there's lots of callings. All of the callings are not righteous. There are lots of callings, right? And so this is important. And matter of fact, since I said that, just to challenge those, see, I'm in the season of challenging my challengers. When I tell you everybody's not sent to do some divine work, to advance the kingdom, everybody's not born for that. Some people are born for condemnation. So let me give you an example. It's just a quick example, right, of what I'm saying to you. The reality that in Ahab's day, you have this prophet Micaiah, right? And Micaiah, this is a enigmatic moment, an enigmatic moment right now that I'm getting ready to share with you, where you're going to see the sword of Enigma in this moment. Micaiah was put in prison by the king because he was put off by what he carried. He was put off by how he responded to him. He wanted him to say something that made him feel good. And we talked about feel good the other day. Micaiah didn't align with that concept. He wasn't in alignment with the other prophets of the kingdom. And so they came to this place where there was going to be a covenant made between the kings, and the king, the king asked, one of the kings asked, the king that was going to align with him, I'm going to pull it up real quick. He asked him, he said, are there any more prophets? Are there any prophets of Yah? That's what he asked him. Are there any prophets of Yah? Because he had heard all of the prophets that had spoken. He heard them all. But internally, he wasn't settled with the fact that that was the word of Yah. So he asked the king, are there any prophets of Yah? And the king said, sure. But I hate him. He didn't just say, I don't like him. He said, yeah, it is, but I hate him. And the reason I hate him is because he doesn't tell me anything that I want to hear. Right? I'm pulling it up right now because I really want to read it to you. I'm going to read it to you. Ahab. And he said, no, I don't like this guy at all. But since this is a thing that we need to do in order for you to come into agreement with me to fight or to go to battle with me, then I'll bring him. If that's what you need. So you got to be mindful about motive in people more today than ever. You got to be, mindful of motive, because we're talking about Jehoshaphat, who was the king of Israel. He wanted the word of Yah, and so he gathered all the prophets. Now, this is how this worked. I'm going to give you the order of it because this is really important. This is really important. I'll probably just read from the top of it so you can get the gist of it. I'm in 1 Kings chapter 22. For 3 years, Syria and Israel continued without war. But in the third year, Jehoshaphat, the king of Yehudah, came down to the king of Israel, and the king of Israel said to his servants, do you know that Ramoth Gilead belongs to us? And we keep quiet and do not take it out of the hand of the king of Syria. And he said to Jehoshaphat, will you go with me to battle at Ramoth Gilead? And Jehoshaphat said to the king of Israel, I am as you are, my people as your people, my horses as your horses. Now here go the first problem, right? You striking hands, you trying to make a covenant with somebody before you get the counsel or the context of this thing, right? The content that you need to make the decision. And so here we go. And Jehoshaphat said to the king of Israel, inquire first for the word of Yah. That's what he asked him. This was before all the prophets started speaking. He told the king, listen, this is our standard. You need to inquire first. You need to inquire of Yah first. Get a word of Yah first. Then the king of Israel gathered the prophets together, about 400 men, and said to them, shall I go to battle against Ramoth Gilead? Or shall I refrain? This is really important because at the end of the day, just because you're saying something that seems, just because you're hearing something that seems like, this is where I'm going, just because you're hearing something that seems like it's related to the kingdom. Or let me say this, because when you hear the word God, when people hear the word God, or they hear the word Spirit or Holy Spirit or whatever words that are divine, that are being used as divine weapons against people's ears and spirits, you automatically think it's a godly thing, but you still have to weigh it, because he's called 400 prophets. The King Jehoshaphat asked, inquired for the word of Yah. But the king called 400 prophets as if to say, this is the answer to what you're asking me to do. Right? So look at what happens here. He asked them, shall I refrain or shall I go up to battle against Ramoth Gilead? And they said, go up. Go up, for Yah will give it into the hand of the king. Go up. This was their words. So that should have been it to him. Ahab, like, that's all I need to hear. But see, we're dealing with two different characters here. Ahab was put in that space as a king on behalf of Yah's people. But Ahab intermarried. He married into darkness. He didn't just he didn't just start acting away. He married into darkness. Okay? What he was married to, what he was espoused to was diabolic. So now no matter what position he took on, it was going to be contaminated with this espousal and this covenant that he made with darkness. And we know this because the Father, even in Revelation, is still dealing with the bodies of believers who are allowing Jezebel control, the thing that is standing in opposition to the work and the word and the assignment of Yah on the earth, to withstand prophets and to withstand the prophetic, the authentic prophetic anointing, to withstand that, right? So all the way in Revelation, there's still a conversation there about Jezebel. So here we go. But Jehoshaphat said, is there not here another prophet of Yah of whom we may inquire? He's not satisfied. And I'm telling you right now, I keep having these conversations daily with the saints who are calling me to tell me how clear it is to them that they have not been in the right spaces. They have not received the right things. And see, what happens is you don't ever have to name a name. I'm talking to leaders for a minute. You never have to name names or put your finger on a thing for people to say and say this, that, and this is and this one is this. All you have to do is teach them truth. And if you teach the truth, if you teach truth, then they'll have revelation. If you teach from the spirit of revelation, then they'll have revelation and discernment when they're hearing and when they're seeing. Now, the only people that won't have that spirit of revelation are people that still are dealing with mixture. And that's one of the things that the Father is after in this moed. It's something that he's after in this season is the mixture. Because as long as there is mixture in you, as long as you are caught between two opinions, right? That's that fence thing that I'm telling you. It's no neutral ground. As long as you're caught between two opinions, you're in a bad space. You're not going to receive what the Father is giving so that you can have clarity and move efficiently according to the assignment that he's giving you. So here we go. He said, nah, there's got to be another prophet that we can inquire of. And the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, there's yet one man by whom we may inquire of Yah. Now he knows that he can inquire of him. He knows that he's connected to Yah. This is not in question. I said this when my brother was on the line the other day, when Apostle Asa was on the line. Some of you leaders that are for the end time, some of you leaders that are the transitional guards, those that are being changed out for the old guards, right? People have seen you, they have known you for some time now. They've been watching you for some time now. Some people have even encountered you, but the whole goal of the encounter was to conceal you or to keep you, from moving forward. It was to capture you in a sense so that you would be in the space doing whatever it was they needed you to do so that you would never step out and do the thing that you're called to do, because they understood that you were on two different teams, right? So they did recognize. So you see here that Ahab is recognizing that Micaiah is called of Yah. He's recognizing that he can inquire of Yah at Micaiah, okay? He said there, yeah, we can do that. We can inquire of him. I know somebody. I know one, he said, yet one man. That's deep in of itself. There is yet one man by whom we may inquire of Yah, Micaiah the son of Imlah, but I hate him, for he never prophesies good concerning me, but evil. And Jehoshaphat said, let not the king say so. He said, don't say that, man. Then the king of Israel summoned an officer and said, bring quickly Micaiah the son of Imlah. Now the king of Israel had Jehoshaphat the king of Judah, or Yehuda, they were sitting on their thrones, arrayed in their robes at the threshing floor at the entrance of the gate of Samaria. I want you to keep in mind, because you keep hearing about these thrones and you keep hearing about these gates. You keep hearing about the thrones and you keep hearing about the gates. That throne situation and that gate situation deals with government It deals, hey, what's going on, sister? I see you, Prophet Felicia. It deals with government. It deals with adjudication. It deals with things being settled for that environment, okay? This is the law. It deals with law. It deals with jurisdiction, okay? So they are sitting in their thrones in the gate. You heard this the other day when we were talking about those enemies that the Father said, I'm going to allow your enemies to be set up against you. They're going to be set around the walls of the city. Their thrones set against the walls. Man, when you start talking about thrones, you start talking about authority, you start talking about dominions, and a will of something that is against the will of that is concerned with the things of the kingdom of Yah, right? He said here, look at here. He said that let the king not say so. Then the king of Israel summoned an officer and said, bring quickly Micaiah, the son of Imlah. Now the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Yehudah, were sitting on their thrones, arrayed in their robes, right? At the threshing floor, at the entrance of the gate of Samaria. I'm not going to go there right now because that's going to take me too far away from what we're going to talk about tonight. But I want you to remember, and I want you to go and thresh out, all pun intended, thresh out the conversation about where they are and significance of what they're arrayed in and all of that. You're going to find something so powerful in that, okay? They're sitting in their robes. They're in their thrones. They're arrayed in their robes at the threshing floor at the entrance of the gate of Samaria. And all the prophets were prophesying before them. Hey, elder, I see you. All the prophets, they didn't stop prophesying. They are still prophesying. Are you hearing me? And Jehoshaphat is waiting to hear a word of Yah, yet these 400 prophets are still prophesying. Okay? And here we go. And Zekiah, the son of Chenaanah, made for himself horns of iron and said, listen at this. Y'all got to hear this and hear it clearly. Because, see, this is what happens when you are able to cipher things, when you're able to identify that the sword that the Father has given you is an offensive weapon against the things that are even secretly hidden in the dark places, the things that are coded, the things that you don't know that these things are coming at you, but they're in code as well. So when we talk about the sword of Enigma, we're not just talking about the things that are being revealed that are, you know how people think everything, when you start thinking about divine things, you're always thinking about, oh, he's revealing this to me, he's revealing that to me. Okay, great. But you need to have a revelation about your adversary. You need to have a revelation about the thing that is opposing you, because when you have a revelation against the thing that is opposing you, then your footing is different. Your posture is different. You understand what I'm saying? When you have a revelation of the thing that is opposing you, I'm in 2 Kings right now, prophet. 1 Kings chapter 22. 1 Kings chapter 22. Look at here. When you have a revelation, when the Father begins to reveal to you your enemies, and you begin to decode the things that are against you, then your footing is different. Your footing is different. Remember, this is what the king was after. He wanted his footing to be based on the word of Yah, right? And it's great that, you know, somebody can reveal to you a car or a house or a husband or a boyfriend or whatever. But those things are earthly things. But what you need is a word from Yah so you can understand purpose. And the thing about that is, once you understand purpose, then you begin to put all these other things in their places according to their priorities. You understand? When you understand purpose, you don't need nobody to prophesy to you that you're getting ready to get a husband. Because when you identify purposes and you understand priorities, then you'll be able to know what to do with anything that you're being faced with. And when I say faced with, it doesn't always mean a challenge. Anything that's coming before you, you'll know what category to put it in because you understand purpose. This is what Jehoshaphat was after. He was after the purposes of heaven so that he would understand his purpose. Now, mind you, he already said from the beginning, yeah, I'm good, I'm with you. That was before he got context, further content, and got somebody that was going to declare the word of Yah. Okay. All right. So here we go. Zedekiah the son of Chenaanah made for himself horns of iron and said, this is so powerful. Because I keep telling you, just because people are doing things and they're doing it supposedly in the name of does not mean it is of that God that they're doing it in the name of. Just because someone uses terminology like God or Jesus or Holy Spirit, even if they're using the Hebrew names, it doesn't mean that. You got to identify with the fruit of what, the character, what's falling from the tree. Look at attitudes. Look at all the things. Look at the character of the thing matters. The fruit is going to tell you what it is. Because if you go to Deuteronomy, you'll also see that if a prophet declares a thing and it comes to pass, but then they turn around and begin to try to take you off into another area where you're serving other gods. And see, that sounds weird to church people because nobody's going to just come out and say, we can ready to serve Moloch. They're not going to do that. You have to be able to discern what they're presenting so you know whether you're being carried off into some kind of captivity. You got to know that. It's up to you. You have that responsibility, right? Here he says, with these, this is what Zedekiah said after he made for himself, keywords, made for himself horns of iron and said, thus saith Yah, with these you shall push the Syrians until they are destroyed. Oh my God. Wow, wow, wow. In the name of the God of Israel, I'm going to create these instruments, but I'm not authorized to do this. He didn't tell me to do this. He didn't give me this word, but I'm doing what I'm doing based on the 400 prophets that are speaking. So if 400 prophets are saying this, then it must be true. It's not. I don't care if 12,000 prophets are saying it. You got to be able to identify what the Father is saying in every season. And there are voices that are declaring what the Father is saying in every season. The Father may even use a drunk or a drug addict or somebody in your family that's all out of sorts to say something. But if your mind is set on, you can't hear because you are the only authority. This is what's messing up a lot of leaders in this season. They feel like they are the only authority on these things. They're the only authority on the word. They are the only authority on any matters. And that's why a lot of them are going to jail, because they've defrauded the people to the point that now, Elder Vicky, do you remember when we were having some conversations? This had to have been back in 2018, 2019, somewhere between 2017 and 2019, when the Father kept declaring that there were things that were going to be caught on camera. It wasn't just, when you start talking about things that are spiritual, you talking about something that has many layers to it, because he showed us that there were things that were going to be seen, that were going to be captured by the camera, that were supernatural. The other side of that, anytime you got one side of the coin, you got the other side. And so while he's showing us the things that are supernatural and he's revealing to us this eternal realm and the things that are regarding the eternal realm, we're also seeing the other side of that coin, where people that have been operating or acting like they've been operating from these realms are now being taken down, because the changing of the guards is inevitable. No matter who don't want to move, no matter who don't want to move to put somebody else that's a part of their lineage in a space, it doesn't matter. Everything got to move. Everything has to move in this hour and give way to the sons of Yah, the manifesting ones that have been serving and hearing the mysteries of heaven and have been having conversations with the people of Yah over the years. Everything got to move because the kingdom has come. Everything's got to move. Look at this. He made this thing, this horn of iron, and declared with this horn of iron, he said, thus saith Yah, with these. So he made more than, it says he made for himself horns. I missed the S. Do you see that? I missed the S. He made horns of iron and said, with these you shall push the Syrians until they are destroyed. And all the prophets prophesied so and said, go up to Ramoth Gilead and triumph. Yah will give it into the hand of the king. Oh, man. Let me see something real quick. Being exposed. You hear me, elder? We've been praying into that for years. The Father's been talking to us about this for years. And now is the season where the exposure that he has talked about for years is now coming. And it's only the beginning. We haven't even scratched the surface of the exposure. And the funny thing about this is that these leaders, the false leaders, still haven't learned from the things that we've already seen, from the leaders that have already been exposed, from the leaders that have already gone down, that have died, that have been exposed, right? They still haven't learned. But this is why the Father began to declare death. And some people will be offended with that. And you're going to see something in just a moment. This is his declaration, not mine. He said, no, I'm going to have to cut some trees down. I'm going to have to cut some trees down in this hour. Because cut the tree down and burning the wood may be the only way that people smell the smoke or see the flame. Let's keep going. My God. So verse 13. We are still in 1 Kings 22. We are on verse 13. And the messenger who went to summon Micaiah said to him, behold, y'all know I love the word behold. I love behold, you hear me? Because it has such prophetic and spiritual significance. Because it's not about what you already see. It's about what you got to embody in order to get in a position to bear a thing. Behold, the words of the prophets with one accord are favorable to the king. I don't know what version is this I'm reading in. Oh, okay, it's ESV. It's okay. That's all right. I can do that. He said, all the prophets are with one accord as it pertains to what they're being told to say. What they're hearing is all on one accord. And all of it is favorable to the king. That's the fact, elder. It's not over. It's not over. But Micaiah said, as Yah lives, and as Yah says to me, that will I speak. And when he had come to the king said to him, Micaiah, Micaiah, shall we go to Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall we refrain? I could hear the sarcasm in the king's voice. But the king said to him, how many times? Hold on. No. I didn't skip some. Shall we go up to Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall we refrain? And Micaiah answered him, go up and triumph. Look, y'all will give it into the hand of the king. Go ahead, do your thing. But the king said to him, now this blows my mind. Because you could think that Micaiah was agreeing with the prophet that came and got him. But I believe Micaiah was being sarcastic, because this is a nature of the sons of Yah when it comes to darkness. Sarcasm is key when it comes to darkness, I promise you. I believe Micaiah was being sarcastic, because the king probably was being real sarcastic about what he was saying. What are we supposed to do, Micaiah? Come on. Micaiah said, go ahead, do what you're going to do, man. You going to win. Go get him, tiger, right? But this is what the king said. And it says here, but the king said to him, I'm in verse 16, how many times shall I make you swear that you speak to me nothing but the truth in the name of Yah? So this is a thing for them. They're constantly going back and forth like this. And he said, okay, bet. Let me tell you what I saw. So see, it's not that he didn't have the word. It's not that he didn't he didn't see. It's not that he didn't see. It's not that he didn't decipher the cipher, that he didn't have the key. He didn't have the code. He had the code. He was tapped in. Okay? Now he's about to wield the sword of the mystery and bust some things open. But you got to look at this thing, because the king, you know what the king's going to do. He's going to do what he want to do. So look at what happens here. He said, okay, bet. I saw all Israel scattered on the mountains as sheep that have no shepherd. And Yah said, these have no master. Let each return to his home in peace. And the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, did I not tell you that he would not prophesy good concerning me, but evil? Now, he ain't even said yet. He ain't even said yet you're going to die. He hasn't said anything of that nature. What he said was, I saw all Israel scattered on the mountains as sheep that have no shepherd. Now that kind of insinuates that you're not there because they don't have a leader. It says, and Yah said, these have no master, let each return to his home in peace. So what he declared was, listen, if y'all get out here and y'all with this guy and it go down, you better go ahead and make it back to your crib because this is going to be a problem, right? Look at what we have here. It says here, and the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, did I not tell you that he would not prophesy good concerning me, but evil? As if the prophetic word is something to make people feel good. This is where we got messed up at. This was not the plan tonight, but the Father going to do what he want to do anyway. And it fits what he's asking for, the cutting, because this is what we got to be cut away from. It's some things that we have to be cut away from. It's some things that have to be cut off of us so that we are not subject to these things. Because the reality is, we're treating the prophetic like it's supposed to be some kind of masseuse encounter, like it's some massage encounter, like, even with the word that they're always using. Well, it's supposed to edify. Well, edification means it's a warning. Edification could be a warning. Edification is about getting you back into alignment. So if I'm telling you, if you go down that street and the Father told you don't go, you are going to die. I'm edifying you. I'm telling you don't go down that street. So edification is aligning you so that you don't meet your death. But the church has turned edification into an instrument of soothing people and making them feel good. Right? So if an authentic prophet gets up and declares the word of Yah and it brings judgment to the house, now everybody's in their feelings because they feel like that was out of alignment because it wasn't edification, when they don't understand what the term edification means. If you study the word edification, then you will understand that it's not about soothing and making people feel good. It's about bringing people into alignment, right? So here we go. He said here, I told you. And Micaiah said, therefore, hear the word of Yah. Now he on the road down. He like, bet. Hey, I see you, Pastor Wilborn. It's good to see you, honey. You need to call me. Warning before destruction. You better believe it every time. The Father won't let it be anything else. It's always going to be a warning before destruction. And he gives multiple warnings. He's such a loving Father. He gives multiple warnings, not just one. But it's the fact that it depends on what heart is receiving the seed of the warning, where that warning is going to lay, and how it's going to either be snuffed out or grow and actually save their life, right? But the beauty of that is the blood is not on your hands. If you warn them, if you blow the trumpet, the blood is not on your hands. It's on their hands because they didn't heed the word of Yah. Okay, so look at this. He said, let me go on back up here. Micaiah said, therefore, hear the word of Yah. I saw Yah sitting on his throne. Here's the cipher. He said, I'm about to give you a key because the mystery is whether you should go or not. That's the mystery, right? Okay, so let me give you the word. Let me give you the sword that opens up the mystery. Let me give it to you. Let me cut you a little bit so that you can identify and discern what's being said and be saved. Okay, let me help you here, King. He said, hear the word of Yah. I saw Yah sitting on his throne and all the hosts of heaven standing beside him on his right hand and on his left. And Yah said, who will entice Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? I don't think people really understand. You don't really understand what happens when you get in that place where you're not discerning the location that you're in. I keep telling people, it's just that map when you're in the mall or when you're in the airport. It's that map that shows you are here. That map is crucial. It's critical from a prophetic perspective. It's something that I use with prophets in another season. I showed them the map. I said, this is the map. You see the map? That's where you are. You are here. Now you got to identify, okay, you're here, but where is the Father desire you to be? What is he calling you to? How do you get there? What's the route? You got to first know where you are, though, right? Here we go. He said here, who will entice Ahab? This is, I'm often really concerned about people, just the masses, period. especially the religious masses, because those that are not religious are the ones that are coming in this hour, and they're going to excel. You hear me? Without all the stuff without all the years of church that all these people have gotten, they're going to excel. You know why? Because they have not been church. They don't have those doctrines, and they're going to be trained to hear the voice of Yah, and they're going to adhere to it. They're just going to listen because they've been looking. That was the conversation I had this morning on the phone with somebody that called me. They said, I don't even understand how people can't see and how people cannot hear. I was in church all these years, and it wasn't until I heard a word from a son. I'm not going to say who the son was. It wasn't until I heard the word of Yah from a son that I was no longer the same. I was going in and out of that place regularly and never growing, never leaving the place of just defeat, never leaving the place of sickness, never leaving the place of just being in a bad space. It wasn't until I heard the word of a son. I didn't even understand the words that I was hearing originally. But when I heard it, I began to break loose. It began to break me loose from the chains that were holding me. I began to hear conversations from heaven in my sleep. And while I was awake, I began to see things that I never saw before. My sight began to increase because I've always been a seer, but I'm not saying I'm a seer. And I said, and you are. And you are. You understand what I'm saying? They want the truth, elder. That's what the woman said to me. She said, I don't care about none of the rest of that. All I want is the truth. Raw and uncut. Give it to me. That's all I want. I don't want the rest of that. That's fluff. I don't want that. That kept me bound. I don't want to be in captivity anymore. I want the truth. I want to be free. Look at this. I don't think people really understand who Yah is. They don't understand how darkness and light converge either. We don't understand it. Look at what happens here. Who will entice Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? The father said, I'm done with him. I'm done with him misleading my people. When I tell you this ain't even in my notes tonight, this is not what I plan to do. Okay? This is what the Holy Spirit planned to do. Make some final judgments and some final calls tonight. That's what he planned to do. He said in another time that a lot of these leaders were being indicted. They were under spiritual indictment. Now it looks like right now the indictment is now being given. The final judgment is being given according to these indictments. That's what it looked like to me. It says here, who will entice Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said one thing, and another said another. So now it's talk in heaven. It's talk in heaven before the throne about a question that Yah is asking in his domain, in his realm. He's asking a question about what's going to happen in the earth realm. And now all these voices are speaking. One is saying one thing, another saying another one. Then a spirit came forward. Hold on. You got all these spirits talking, all these different conversations going on, sound like what's going on in the earth. Then a spirit came forward. And stood before Yah saying, I will entice him. Man, it's so much in that. It's so much in that right there. It's crazy. Because here's the thing. It's a lot of talk, but who gonna go? It's a lot of talk, but who's going to go for us? Who can I send? It's a lot of conversation, but somebody got to step up to the plate. That's all we've been talking about, is you becoming the divine pivot in your household. There's a lot of conversation, but conversation now has to be manifestation in this hour. Who's going to go? Who's going to handle the business of the heavens? Who's going to initiate? Who's going to do the work that heaven is declaring should be done? He said, I'm going to go. He said the spirit came forward and stood before Yah saying, I'll entice him. And Yah said to him, by what means? Let's talk about this. What you going to do? And he said, I will go out and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, you are to entice him and you shall succeed. Go out and do so. Are y'all hearing this? I don't know if y'all hearing this. Woo! I don't know if y'all hearing this. I'm gonna take a Selah moment. If y'all got questions, start asking questions. This is the time to ask the questions because I need a Selah moment. Go ahead and ask me something because right now, I'm still, every time I read this, I'm baffled. Because it says to me that what's being taught across pulpits is lacking so much. And this is why people are lost. Because they're lacking the fundamentals of things. They're lacking the fundamentals of who the Father is. They're lacking the fundamentals of who the Mashiach is. They're lacking the fundamentals of who the Holy Spirit is. They're lacking the fundamentals. And it's one of the essential things that the Master gave to his disciples. He said, listen, go teach them. Go teach them. Teach them about the Father. Teach them about who I am. Teach them the Holy Spirit. Teach them to observe all things that I've commanded you. Understand, teaching has to precede. It has to precede the person that's going forth. You remember the word says, how can they hear without a teacher? And how can he teach except he be sent? Teach, preach, same, right? Preaching. How can he declare? How about that? How can the people hear without a declarer? And how can the declarer go unless he's been sent to declare? Because there's something very specific that has to be declared so that there is freedom that is brought, because the whole goal is multiplication, not cloning. Multiplication, not cloning though. Because all of you have different personalities. All of you have different giftings. You have different things that are, your characteristics and your, personalities and all those different things. That is all a part of how a message is going to be delivered. Now, I ain't talking about if you just mean and surly and you say what you want to say, how you want to say it. No, that got to be timid. Father took me out of that space a long time ago. Ain't no, this is just how I am. No, he's got to temper all of that stuff. Because if you're going to speak his word, then it ain't got nothing to do with sarcasm and all this, don't play with me. What's this thing that they had going around for a season that I was just so disgusted by? I don't remember what this saying was, but it's in my mind. It's on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, it's something like, don't play with me. Yeah, multiplication, not cloning. If y'all know the phrase I'm talking about, put it in the chat. It's this thing about don't play with me. I don't even understand the concept of a believer trying to go toe to toe and trying to throw hands, spiritual hands. You're not even throwing hands for real. You being a spiritual bully at that point. And all this spiritual bullying is coming to an end. For a lot of leaders, it's coming to an end. You're spiritually bullying people. You're spiritually bullying people into what you want them to do. This is witchcraft. Our responsibility is to teach. And guess what? I'm not an apostle to everybody. I'm not everybody's apostle, but I can tell you right now, the people whom I am an apostle to, they have something. Yeah. And when you do a thing in love, what you're doing, you're not trying to temper it. You're not trying to find words to try to fix it. You're trying to hear what heaven is saying, because only heaven knows what is necessary to unlock that person. Only the Father knows what is necessary, the cipher that you need to unlock the person, to bring them into the space where they're coming to him. Only the Father knows that. Holy Spirit knows that. That's the phrase. Come on now. Don't try. I knew y'all knew what I was talking about. Don't try me, try Jesus. Right. All that stupid stuff. What is that even about? What does that have to do with the kingdom? How does that impact souls? What benefit is that to the people that are hearing it, that they might see light? How? You asking, how do you defend yourself against a spiritual bully? Clarify for me, if you're saying how. That way I'll know. Because it says who. You mean how, right? Clarify for me, prophet. You mean how? Just type a 1 in the room if you mean how and not who. Because this is important. That's a good question. If you're asking how, I want to make sure before I answer it. Okay, how? Okay, here's the first thing that must be done. The first thing you have to do is you have to identify who this person is. You have to identify who they are. What I mean by who they are, what side of the fence are they calling themselves operating from? What are they saying they are? Let's start there. Who are they saying they are? Put these responses in the room, y'all, so that y'all will remember the answer to this. You got to identify who they are saying they are. If they're saying they're a prophet of Yah, if they're just saying they're spiritual, if they're just, what are they calling themselves? Identify that first. Then you have to identify your purpose. For me, my purpose don't fit bullies. You understand? I'm not going to sit with bullies. I'm not going to do that. So because I'm not a bully, I'm not going to allow people to bully people. So therefore, we would not have a good, me and the bully wouldn't have a good relationship. You know why? Because I'm going to say something. And the moment I say something, because I'm assuming you're talking about leadership too. Because if there's somebody that's on your, just somebody that you're dealing with horizontally, you don't even have to deal with that. You just get away from that. It's not about defending yourself. Let's start there. I had to backtrack. It's not about even defending yourself. It's about identifying your purpose and your circle. If you identify your purpose, you'll know your circle, and therefore you won't be in the circle or in the company of bullies anyway. But if you're speaking on a leadership level, you got to identify your purpose. How did you get there? Because here's the truth. You ready for this? Here's the truth. I'm gonna give you an example from a relational. I'm gonna give you a relational example. The Father gives us leaders according to our heart. Now that's crazy. It's still kind of crazy to say, but it's real, because I used to say it the other way, that the leaders that you connect with, you often have the characteristics of. And this is true. But the Father literally gave the leader according to the heart that you had in that season. So if you had a leader that was pernicious, if you had a leader that was, in the flesh, as far as, sexually perverted, whatever, I'm trying to say this in a way that works, because it's not necessarily, it's perversion because it's against the Father. I'm not saying that they're doing any specific act, but what I am saying is that they're promiscuous. That's the word. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Sexually promiscuous. Then you're going to be in a space. That's the leader that's going to be able, you're going to be able to hear that voice. This is why it's important for us to identify with the fact that the Father is saying, have a relationship with me. I've created a way that you don't have to, just go through people. Now I'm still going to use people. I still have prophets. The Father said, I still have prophets. I still have leaders that are on the front line of what I'm declaring in this hour. However, personal relationship with me is an imperative. And if you're connected with someone that's not demanding that you personally be connected to the Father, that is always going to give you an answer. Because if you ask the people that are connected to me, I often give people homework. People call me, especially in this season. Back in the day, they could call me and get an answer. Okay? They could, Apostle, I don't know. Can you tell me? My first question is going to be what, Elder Vicky? Did you talk to the Father? Have you asked the Holy Spirit? Have you done the work? Is going to be my first question. Because I don't want to become God to you. I want you to understand that I'm a resource that heaven has given you, but that He is still your source, even though I'm the resource that He's provided for you. You understand what I'm saying? So I give homework. Now when people call me, I automatically give them homework. Back in the day, people kind of got a pass, and I would ask those questions. Sometimes they would say yes, and I say, okay. And I kind of just give the answer. right? We'd have the dialogue, which is okay. But in this season of my life, because I'm not going to sit long with people that have not done the work first. I'm going to teach you how to do the work. And then that way, you're not wearing me out. I'm just a resource to help you do the work. That's fine. But I give homework. Go read this and that and the other thing. Go read 1 John chapter, go read 2 Kings chapter 22. Go read. I'm going to give you homework. Thank you, Elder, for co-signing. Elder will tell you, she's been with me for a long time. She's been with me for a long time. At least over a decade at this point. She's been with me a long time. Okay? I'm going to give you homework. And people felt some kind of way about homework a whole lot of them years, but I didn't care. Because guess what my job was? To make sure that you understand, that you have some clarity, that you have some understanding, some wisdom. And I'm going to get in. I may get into that today because Solomon been on my mind all day long. And the reason Solomon's been on my mind, I'm going to get back to this verse. The reason Solomon's been on my mind is because people don't understand that the Father is looking for people. Yeah, he's looking for ordinary people. This is true. But when it came to him giving his inspiration to somebody, he didn't just randomly give his inspiration to somebody. He chose people that were aware of things. He chose people that knew things about culture, knew things about nations, knew things about the time that they were living. They knew stuff. They knew, they understood kingdom. They understood all these different things. He chose people that had an understanding because what he needed them to write would be to a people that also understood these things. And even in our age, if we study well, then we understand that these things are connected to the things that they were writing about. And we just see the type and shadow of these things to help us walk something out. Right? We watch the type and the shadow until we see fulfillment. Oh yeah, homework is good. And the last time I had a group of prophets and I was giving homework, I was connected to some prophets and I was giving homework. And, they leaders shut it down. I don't know what that was about. It was no contest. It was no conversation. It was no argument, no dispute. It's just that just wasn't, it wasn't what they wanted. But apostles train. Apostles are going to give, they're going to give you homework. They're going to tell you, listen, come on. You come on, but you're going to, listen, pay attention. We're not pastors. Pay attention. Pay attention or go somewhere. That's how, the same way Elijah was with Elisha. He was prophetic, but he was also apostolic. He was like, listen, I ain't trying to carry you everywhere with me. Are you even ready to go? Like, come on. If you're going, come on in. Pay attention. Right? Not being mean. Just seeing if you really want it. If you really want it, then you'll do the work. If you really want it, then you will do the work. You understand? So it's not about how to defend yourself, because you don't ever need to defend yourself against a bully, a spiritual bully, or no other kind of bully. You don't have to defend yourself against spiritual bullies. Okay? Yah fights for his sons. But you got to identify how you wound up in that position. Women do it all the time. They wind up with somebody that, at the end of the day, they're like, I don't know how I got here. Yeah, well, if you sit down and identify how you got there, then guess what? You won't go there no more. But we have to do the work. We got to do the work. What was I wanting in that season? Where were my voids? What did I allow when I saw something that was a red flag? It's the same thing with spiritual leaders. What did I allow when I saw a red flag? I saw the red flag, but I just allowed it. I said, oh, okay. Are you even ready? Period. Prophet, are you even ready? Okay. Can you keep up? Can you keep up, please? Okay. So here we go. What verse did we leave off on? Now therefore, verse 23. Now therefore, behold, Yah has put a lying spirit in the mouth of all your prophets. This is what Micaiah is telling him. He's telling him, I've seen the whole scene. Like, the Father revealed this to me. And what I'm discovering is not the norm for people that are calling themselves believers. Are encounters. Encounters are no longer the norm. That's why y'all so fascinated if somebody tell a lie that they had one. You're absolutely enthroned by it because you have never had one. So, and why I say this is this. Because when you've had an encounter with heaven, you understand the humility that goes along with that encounter. But when you hear people saying they had an encounter with heaven and they was standing up and they was looking around and they was just like, wow, and all, no. An encounter with heaven humbles you. If you look in the scripture, the first thing that any man did, and even the angelic agents had to tell them, get up, nope, because I don't want you to feel like you got to worship me because you in this space. But the first thing that you'll notice about men and women that were in a place, an eternal, a supernal realm, they fell to their knees because they were humble. They began to search themselves. Look, one of the prophets said, listen, he said, whoa, I'm a man of unclean lips. Wait a minute. What am I doing here? I don't even think am I okay? Am I alive? Wait, let me check. It's a humbling place. It's not a boasting place. It's a humbling place. Come on, what did you allow when you saw the red flags? That's the question. We be in denial, elder. But here's the thing. Father ain't never upset with y'all. He not ever upset with us. Let me tell you why. Because he knows our frame. He knows the family we came out of. He knows all the issues. He knows all the voids. He knows all of those areas. So what he's allowing us to walk through is these experiences so that, and that's quite possible. That's possible that they had an encounter with the Father while they were driving. That's possible. It's possible. But you have to listen to the whole matter so you can see the fruit of it, right? So, yeah, it's quite possible. He allows us in those spaces, though. These spaces are tools to teach us something. You remember that that the word of the Lord declared, it was good that I was afflicted. This was David's word. It was good that I was afflicted. Then the master comes behind him and says, listen, I learned from the things that tested me. Yeah. I learned from the things that tried me. I learned from those things. So that's the journey that we're on initially. But that's not supposed to become a perpetual place for us where we keep tangling ourselves and tying ourselves up with these same spirits, these same situations. Because then you got to check yourself. Let me ask y'all this. Here's the thing that I'm noticing. Oh, and you know what? I got to say this too. Because I said this the other day, and somebody that I love was not on the live, and I don't know if they've heard it yet, but I'm going to say it again because the Holy Spirit just reminded me to say that some of the disappointment and some of the lack or the voids are a result of geographic location. Some of us are moving geographically from the place that we are because the place that the Father is taking us to is the place of abundance. Now, let me give you an example. Now, see, you hear a prophet say something like that, you're going to have foundational evidence of that. I can give you foundational evidence of this thing happening. Okay? Abraham was called out of his father's house, called out of the region where his father established things at, and was going to be taken to a land that he didn't know anything about. He was, he had some things, but the place of blessing that he needed, because remember his name meant father of many nations, but he didn't have no children. The place of blessing, the destined place for him, where all of this would be able to occur, was at the place of the promised place, which is where everybody went through the promised land. When he got to the promised place, then Isaac. You understand what I'm saying? Then Isaac. So sometimes we are so beholden to the location that we're in and the things that we have and, all of these different things that we're not understanding that all of the things that are happening contiguously back to back to back to back is the Father saying, hey, I'm trying to get your attention. You trying to pray prayers to say, get them off of me, back them up off of me. And the Father said, I'm not backing nothing up. I need you to come to me because we need to have a conversation. Come on. Come on, prophet. You're not in the right location. He said, no, we need to have a conversation because you're not located, you're not geolocated. You're not spiritually geolocated where I need you to be. So I need you to come have a conversation with me because I'm going to tell you what needs to be done. I'm going to give you what needs to be done. We like to stay in places and just fight and fight and fight and fight. And nobody should be in no perpetual fight. That's not what the sons are called to. How are you going to accomplish what he's sending you to accomplish if you perpetually are fighting? How? It's not possible. So he allows us to process through those things. And yes, on the one hand, whatever the leader is dealing with is usually the season that you're in. But you got sent, that leader was sent. This is what you got to understand. The Father's not being evil. He's sending you where you are so you can see where you are. Because you're going to see, you're going to be like, ooh, that attitude, ooh. You're going to see something and then you're going to say something and then it's going to dawn on you. Ooh, I'm like that too, though. I just don't like it when I see it, but I might need to make an adjustment myself, right? Yeah. So we know what happens here. Ahab is killed in battle, ultimately. But I'm going to finish reading this. Now, therefore, behold, I'm in verse 23. Yah has put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these your prophets, and Yah has declared disaster for you. That's what he told the king. Now, I'm telling you what you asked me to tell you what the Father is saying. Okay, I'm telling you what the Father is saying. Then Zedekiah, the son of Chenaanah, came near and struck Micaiah on the cheek and said, how did the Spirit of Yah go from me to speaking to you? Uh-oh. Ah! Wait a minute. I've never seen that before. Let me pull this up in the King James. I need to pull this up in the King James Version because wait a minute. Wait 1 minute. The ESV reads that Zedekiah not only slapped Micaiah on the cheek, but he said, how did the Spirit of Yah go from me to speaking to you? Ooh, that's a rabbit hole right there that I am not. I just want to see it in the King James Version, y'all. Hold on. Where we at? We in 1 Kings 22, right? I got to see this with my own eyes. I have to look this up. See, y'all on the journey with me today. I'm not going to let that just drop. I'm not going to act like I didn't see that, okay? I'm not going to act like I didn't see that. I'm going to look this up. Hold on, let me see. I'll share it with you so y'all not in the loss. Y'all not in the dark. Let me pull it up. Hold on. I'll share it with you. Give me a second. It's been a while since I had to share on this platform, but I believe I remember how. Oh my God. Not only did he slap him, but he said, how did the word of Yah go from me to you? Wow. And this is really how these prophets feel out here in these streets. Because if you're not saying what the masses are saying, you got to understand, I've been declaring 1,000-year difference in the time on the Hebrew calendar for some time now. I just physically started putting it up like, yeah, I don't care no more. I done sat with this thing for a minute and I'm just not even moved by it no more. I'm going to put it up because people need to understand that the adversary thinks to change times and laws. And why does he think to change times and laws? Because if he can get you off the schedule, then you don't meet the schedule and you don't make it to where you're going. I know with everything in me that we're 1,000 years off that calendar that they are talking about, the 57. I may share some things with you tomorrow about it. The 57 versus the 67 alone, what they mean is two different things. And what 67 stands for is more indicative of the age that we're in. Not to mention the note that was in my phone that I didn't put there some years ago that stayed there for 4 or 5 years at the top of my notes, no matter what I put in my notes. It's too many markers pointing to this fact. So I'm with it, I'm with it. Let me see here. Okay. What verse was that? That's verse Okay, here we go. That's verse 24. Hold on, I'm getting to it now. And I'm going to put it up on the screen for y'all as soon as I get to it. Hold on. All right, let me share my screen. Let's look at it, y'all. Let's see what the King James Version says. Share screen. Screen share. Okay. Y'all going to let me share my screen? All right. Okay, can y'all see it? Okay, here we go. Zedekiah, the son of Chenaanah, went near and smote Micaiah on the cheek and said, which way went the spirit of Yah from me to speak unto thee? It's been there the whole time. I promise you it's there. It's there. I have never seen this. I've never seen it. Are y'all looking at what I'm looking at? Do y'all see this? He said, which way went the spirit? In other words, how did the spirit of Yah go from me to you? How did you become the voice now? Because remember what Zedekiah said. Who remembers what Zedekiah said? Put it in the room. If you remember what Zedekiah said, put it in the room. We in school now, because now I done look up the verses and put them on the screen. What did Zedekiah say? What was his word? What did he say Yah was saying? What did he do? I'm giving y'all a moment, a Jeopardy moment. Y'all need me to sing the music? Come on. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Come on. Do 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 do. Come on. What did Zedekiah do? What did he say? Somebody find it. Tell me the verse. Put the verse in the room. What did Zedekiah do? What did he say? Put the verse in the room and we're going to go to it. Wow. I'm waiting, y'all. Come on. It ain't that many verses up. It ain't that many verses up before this. I'm going to keep reading while y'all find it. Get the verse. And Micaiah said, behold, thou shalt see in that day, when thou shalt go into an inner chamber to hide thyself. Come on now. I'm telling you this, the Father, something else, because this is exactly where we are. And the king of Israel said, take Micaiah and carry him back unto Ammon, the governor of the city, and to Joash, the king's son. Now, who knows who the king of Israel was? There we go. 22:11. Let's go see. Oh, look at there. And Zedekiah said, absolutely. And then he gave the word. Then he gave the false word. Yeah. Then he gave the false word. Who was the king of Israel? Who was the king of Israel? Was it Ahab or was it Jehoshaphat? Why am I asking that? The false word, period. Absolutely. Absolutely, prophet. The false word. Who was the king of Israel? Now ask me why I'm asking you this question. I'm asking you this question because when you read, if you don't keep up with who's who, you're going to be confused. When you see who's doing what, then you have better clarity. And the king of Israel said, take Micaiah and carry him back unto Ammon, the governor of the city, and to Joash, the king's son, and say, thus saith the king, put this fellow in the prison and feed him with bread of affliction and with water of affliction until I come in peace. That's what people try to do. They try to do something to you because they don't like what you said. And Micaiah said, if thou return at all in peace, Yah has not spoken by me. And he said, hearken, O people, every one of you. That's it, Ahab. That's it. Ahab was the king of Israel. He sent him back to the region that he came from and told him, put him in prison. Put him in there. And give him the bread of affliction and the water of affliction until I come in peace. Say, what does this word affliction mean? It's saying, listen, don't become a caterer to this guy. Don't cater to him. Let it be minimal. Yeah, minimal water, minimal bread. Affliction. Let's look at it. Lakhats. Distress, pressure, oppression, the bread of oppression, the water of oppression. Okay, let's look at the etymology of this word to see if we can find even deeper. Now I'm teaching y'all to study again. Lakhats, which comes from to squeeze, to press. Yeah. Oppression. So he's saying, don't feed him. Yeah. Give him the bare minimum. You got it, prophet. Put him in a space of distress. That's it. That is it. Okay. You stop sharing. Let's go back to our screen. There we go. All right. So look at what we got here. We wound up at verse 20. What? Let me see. Okay. Struck him on the cheek and asked him how the word go from me to you. And Micaiah said, behold, you shall see that. Okay. We got all that. He sent him back. So the king sent him back. Right? Take him back. And Micaiah said, if you return in peace, Yah has not spoken by me. And he said, hear all you peoples. Because he really thought he was going to come back from that. Yeah. He thought he was going to come back from that. He said, I got 400 prophets telling me one thing, and you got a whole nother conversation going on. Well, we know what happened. So I'm going to turn that loose and go on back to this conversation that we were having about this sword of Enigma. Because where we are right now, we're not looking at an ordinary blade. We're not looking at an ordinary blade. You know, it's not metal. It's not mineral. This is a spiritual situation. It's spiritual intelligence in motion. It's a living algorithm of light. And when it moves, it's going to divide flesh from spirit. We've looked at this. It's going to divide flesh from spirit. It's going to interpret the unseen. And it's going to slice through this encryption of the unseen realm so that revelation can emerge from that place. It's going to show you. It's going to differentiate. Come on. It's going to differentiate. Yeah, the Father speaks differently to his prophets. You know, when you're hearing all these things and they kind of in alignment, I've never been a go along to get along person. I've always had a whole bunch of questions. And so when I first, this is just a side note, when I first started acknowledging the Moeds, I came in by way of what the Father brought me in by way of what I heard. I heard somebody that was talking about these Moeds and I was interested. So I started listening, started tuning in. I started, getting some revelation. But in the process of getting that revelation, I was hearing some things that they were saying. And I was like, well, okay, well, they've been doing this longer than me. Let me listen. Let me pay attention. But what I found to be true was less what they were saying about certain things and more of what the Father was telling me. Right? The kingdom is not about seniority. Spiritual things are not about seniority. They're about obedience. Questions equals clarity. That's all I keep telling them, prophet. You got to be a son that inquires. If you're not inquiring, then you're not getting clarity. It's the same thing with dreams. It's the same thing with visions. It's the same thing if you're seeing numbers all day and you're seeing certain words here and there. You got to stop and inquire. You can't just get excited about having been taken into a dimension. You got to get clarity. Because the first thing angelic agents on any level would ask a son that's being taken into a new dimension, do you know what you're looking at? Do you know what you see? What is that? And they would say, listen, you know, you tell me. What am I looking at? Right? They wasn't so brazen to say, oh, I know exactly what I'm looking at. When I tell you, I had no clue what the Father wanted to do tonight. None. All I know is that I've done what he told me to do. I've handled my business on my end, and I had no clue what he wanted to do tonight. I had no clue how he wanted to position word tonight in the hearing of the people. No clue. I had specific things that I saw him, specifically say. I jotted all those things down, but I had no clue as to the direction. So when you hear people like acting like they got it all together, that's sometimes that's an indication. Because I don't care what season I've been in, I'm always in a Selah space. I'm gonna take a Selah because I don't know where the Father want to go with this. Elder Vicky can tell you years ago. Yes, I was very clear and concise. I was following what the Father gave me. And here's the thing. On the flip side of that, every season is not the same. The wisdom of one season is not the operation of the next. Somebody put that in the chat. The wisdom of one season is not the operation of the next. You may have been given clarity and wisdom for a season that you're in, but it is not the mechanism of operation for the next season. Come on in, let's ask. Let's dig it out, prophet. Let's dig it out. Let's dig it out. Yeah, you got to keep asking for clarification. And then you got to have a circle that you can communicate with that will keep you aligned and keep you balanced, right? That's so necessary. I remember years ago when the Father was showing me a whole lot of different things, and I would go online sometimes because I felt like I do a bunch of prophetic people, and I was putting that stuff on my wall. I said, listen, where the prophets at? Let's dig this out. Let's suss it out. You know what I'm saying? Let's find out what the Father is saying. This was before 2020 hit. Now, he told me specifically, and I shared this reminded them of this last night, that in 2019, May of 2019, the Father started shifting us in intercession. If you've ever been on my intercession line in the day, you know that we don't get on and just clap our hands and say some prayers or say some words. It's teaching, it's training, it's prophetic movement, it's all of that. And the Father literally commandeered the line of intercession and turned it into a science class. I started talking, and elder, just for the record, today, the Father brought up these T cells again. Today, because he started, thank you, elder, the wisdom of one season is not the operation for the next. It is not. It's not the mechanism that you're going to be operating the next season in. Today, elder, he started talking to me about these T cells again. So I already know something coming down the pipeline. We gotta listen. We gotta hanker down. We gotta hanker down because something else is coming. Something else is coming. He started talking to me about blood types. All of that today. I don't know if I'm going to get into that today. Maybe tomorrow. Because cutting, when you cut, the cutting creates blood. It creates a situation, right? It changes the life. It expresses life. Cutting expresses life. Because the blood, life is in the blood. That's a whole conversation. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there right now. But he started talking to me about those different things. And I was amazed by it because he's talking to me about Solomon. And this is what brought back to my remembrance that he said, listen, certain things that I divulge to my sons, I divulge them to sons that are people that dig things out. People that know things. I reveal them to people that know things because they know how to connect the dots and present it in a way that people can hear it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Started talking to me. Yeah, it definitely is. But it's in conversation right now. A lot of it is still conversational. It's still, the final touches of things, but something coming. I think that second wave that they've been staving off because we know too much about what's going on. There's too many of us that have too much knowledge about what's really going on. I'm going to tell y'all right now, before it hits, do not bend and do not bow, because that's a whole other situation. I'm praying that we get to Revelation, because I want to read to you these the thunders. We want to talk about the seven thunders, because in that seven thunder, I believe one of those thunders was what happened in 2020, and I can prove it by what the words mean. So it says that we're in a specific place on the prophetic calendar of Yah. We're in a specific place. So we got to pay attention, but don't bend and don't bow. That's all I can tell you, because it's going to be a lot of conversation about a lot of things. That don't mean it's true. You got to remember what people have said after they said what they said the first time, and it was found out that it was false. Then these people, same people that said this was a thing, this is a mandate, you got to do it, or else you're going to lose your job, and everybody was running, trying to do stuff because they didn't trust Yah to provide for them, because they wasn't going to do something, right, that was going to intentionally cause them harm. Don't bend, don't bow. Now, you can't help it if somebody holds you down and do something to you, but the Father said, listen, I got you. Nothing shall by any means harm you. That don't mean we going out and doing everything that people say and do in an effort to protect ourselves. No, we have a shelter. We have a habitation. And we are a habitation of Yah. So where he dwells is safe. We just got to hear what the instructions are. I don't think he's going to have me get into the blood types and all that stuff tonight, because that's connected to something, same thing, but it's connected to something a little different. Let me see. But he did talk to me about it today. And I wanted to tell you that, because yesterday I was just declaring to y'all when he showed me May 21st of 2019 that the storm was coming. And I literally put it up on my page. The image is there. We had a whole conversation. You know what I'm praying, Elder? I'm not sure if you recorded the that crown piece that I did, because I don't remember it being on YouTube. I remember I did it on Facebook. I'm praying that I did it on YouTube. You remember what I'm talking about? Let me see if I can pull up at least the words of it. I remember downloading my data from Facebook a couple of times. I just don't know where it is on my computer. And if I could find where it is, and I'm sure. Oh my God. Yeah. Now let me tell you something, because the Father said to me even before that happened, check this out, prophet. Check this out. He didn't just make a way of escape. He didn't just tell us how to prepare for the thing, but he also made a way of escape. Yeah, people do have to come to the place where they understand that the Father is the source. He said to me before this thing took place, there are many that are going to be caught up in the thing, but I'm making a way of escape. He said, listen, I've already made a way of escape for them. And so I began to have that conversation after all of that had taken place, that he made a way of escape. And so I'm going to have to pull that back out so I can share that. And it's really just coming back into the finished work so that you can be, so that you're, see, that's where come in, so that you can get the transfusion that you need to change you back to the son that you were. Because all of that was about changing who you were on a DNA level. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Do you have any of those recordings, Elder? I know you got 1 billion recordings. I need to know if you have those. I looked at them this year, but that was before Facebook was talking about deleting all our videos and doing all that stuff. Yeah. Yep, yep. I don't remember the name of it though. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. I'm about to see if I can pull it up real quick, Elder. I saw some videos today, though. Kind of blew my mind that some videos were still up. I'm trying to see. I don't see it so far. I don't see it so far. I'm going to go and look for it. If you come across it or if you have it, Elder, let me know. Because right now I don't see it. If I could remember the name of it, then I could find it quicker. But I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Okay. Okay. Go through and check it out. See what you can find. See what you can find. But we talked about it. I mean, we had a full-blown conversation. Full-blown conversation. Oh, yeah, I see you, Prophet. I hear you. Well, you know, my suggestion to you is that you ask the Father what He wants you to do in this season, because I'm personally going to tell you, He took me out of that space. He took me out of that space for some years, for many years, and the only reason I ever went back into those spaces was as the Master was to teach. The hokey pokey, you said hooky pooky. I know you meant the hokey pokey, Elder, because I call it the hokey pokey. That's some funny stuff. Yeah, was around the time of the hokey pokey. Yeah, ask Prophet, ask the Father what He wants for you to do. Because anytime you're looking for something, then you need to identify with what heaven is declaring, because that's going to help you locate where He wants you to be and what He needs you to do. You follow me? So, yeah, do that. Inquire. Remember, we're talking about that inquiry. You got to inquire. That's important. Inquire of Him. So, every mystery carries an encryption key. And those mysteries are coming from the Word of Yah. Yeah, well, I said this last night, and I've said it several times, Prophet, and I'll say it again, that the ministry of the fivefold, what I call the hand of Yah, the apostle, prophet, pastor, teacher, evangelist, is not for the church, it's for the earth. Religious people would be like really put off by that. But why do I say that? Because some people are not in the fold. And the fold is not the church. The fold is the kingdom. They're not in the kingdom yet. The kingdom and the church are two different things. They're not the same. They operate by two different premises and two different principles. So because the hand of Yah, the apostle, prophet, pastor, teacher, evangelist, is not for the church, is given to the earth, then it doesn't matter what they say. Now you got to learn how to operate in your gift in different spaces and how to utilize the various capacity, the various facets of your gifting. Because everything is not going into a place saying, "Thus saith the Lord." His word can come into a space without you saying, "Thus saith the Lord." You can just go into a space. If you are a carrier of truth, then whatever you're saying is going to resonate and cause people to see different things and hear different things. Somebody was saying the other day, I think it might have been last night too, but this is a constant situation for me where I'm saying something and people are hearing other things. They say, "I'm hearing what you're not saying." Why? Because it's prophetic. So let me give you an example. And this is going to really help you a whole lot to give you this example. I'm going to give you a part of a dream that I had. Very, very simple part, just a piece of it. In the dream, I was challenged by a diabolic force. I went after him because I wanted to know what the heck he wanted. Because he interrupted me while I was teaching. And so I called one of my people down in this place that I was in, and I asked them to finish the teaching, finish the course, whatever I was giving to the people. So they came down, and I chased after this entity and asked him, "What do you want?" And so when he began to talk to me, he began to tell me how much he hated me. And he said some things to me. I'm not going to repeat them right now, but he said them. And after he said what he said, I said a simple phrase. And I said it with great authority. And it was almost like my voice resounded when I said it. I said to this entity, I said, "Your mama." Okay? When I said your mama, this entity shot off. I mean, he was gone. He was like, He left. And I chased after him again. And when I chased after him, I got to the docks. It was like he was getting in his truck. And I was at the docks and I was challenging him still, but he drove off. But when I woke up, I said, "Your mama, Father? Really? Your mama?" And the Holy Spirit said, it's not just about what's being said, it's about the frequency that is being said in. I hope you got that. It's not just about what's being said, it's about the frequency that is being said in. Now, a church person would have expected me to say, "I rebuke this thing in the name of Jesus." And I said, "Your mama, prophet." I'm telling you. I said, "Your mama." And the thing was horrified. But it was authority that was being dealt with there, not my words. So he heard in "your mama" everything that he needed to hear. He heard it. And that settled that, you know? So, again, the hand of Yah, the apostle, the prophet, the pastor, the teacher, the evangelist, are not given to the church, they're given to the earth. And why are they given to the earth? So that they can locate the sons. Everybody's not in the fold yet. They're out there. This is why I keep telling people, the marketplace is a vehicle for the kingdom. The marketplace is what the Father's calling the sons to. You say, "Well, how can you say that?" Because of another vision and dream that he gave, that he kept signifying over and over about these maps. There was a literary map, and there was a corporate map. And the Father flat out said, "I'm changing all of it." He showed me mega corporations and mighty literary people that were on this map. And he said, he wiped it clean. He said, "My sons are going to be on these maps." Why? Because he said, the whole earth is filled with my glory. My desire is that every corner of the earth can see. Yeah, the crown will rise. Yes, elder. Yep, the crown will rise. Is that the whole earth will see me, that they will hear my voice. And I tell people all the time, he's always talked. In every age, in every eon, he's talking. But the question is, are people listening? It's not a question of is he saying something. The question is, are people listening to what he's saying? The crown will rise. That is it, elder. Yep. Yep. I'm looking for it now. Yeah, that's the name of it, elder. I hope you got it. I hope you got it. Because if I do, then it's on whatever I captured from my Facebook. I'm looking at some stuff from March of that year, just words that were written. So y'all forgive me. I done got caught up in the remembrance, because I'm trying to see too if I can identify that word that he gave me about. Yeah, if I find it, prophet, I'll definitely shoot it to you. But it was powerful, the fact that he made a way of escape for the sons, and it's really just re-identifying with the finished work. And when we re-identify with that finished work, then we realign ourselves, and therefore we're reset to the new creation that the adversary was trying to contaminate. Because that's all that was about, is contamination. It happened in Genesis. It's not a new trick. It's an old trick, a new day. Bless you, Elder. Hey, Prophet Ivan, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah, it's not a new trick. It's an old trick, just a different age. Yep, the Ark and the Crown. Okay. Yeah, I remember the Ark and the Crown, I think. Yep. You have to identify with the finished work. What did the master do? What did he do it for? What's that process? Repentance is not just an I'm sorry. Repentance is not I'm sorry. Repentance is identifying where we've missed something and not going in that direction. You know, asking the Father's direction on the matter. How do we deal with this? How do I, you know, and there are some natural protocols. So if you need that, get to me, get with me, and I'll let you know. There are natural protocols as well. Yeah, there are natural protocols. So, yeah, you can get with me on that. We'll walk through it. But all these things are necessary. And the kingdom is a whole package, right? The kingdom is a whole package. The realization that there are people that need deliverance, right? But teaching people how to manage the deliverance once they get it, teaching people how to deal with themselves so that it's preventative deliverance is as necessary as managing deliverance. Prevention is necessary. How do you prevent dealing with these entities? How do you prevent, you're going to deal with them, but how do you prevent them dealing with you or handling you or trying to find a place in you? How do you deal with that? That's a whole discipleship situation. People are not being discipled anymore. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Prophet, yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, got to turn away and determine you're not going back down that road no more. We were raised in the age of, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Father, I got to do this, but I'll ask for repentance. I'll ask for forgiveness. That ain't how that works. You crucifying the master afresh. That's not how that works. But he's not even mad at that, because if you didn't know, then you didn't know. Again, we learn from the things that we suffer, because there is going to be something that happens as a result of our ignorance. Ignorance produces something. But when you've been ignorant and you understood what it produced, then you don't want to go that way no more. It's like a baby touching a hot stove, They don't want to keep touching that stove. They see when that fire come up, they going on the other side of the room. You know what? I know what that thing did to me. I ain't doing that. It's funny because while I'm saying that, it made me think of the turn of the line that was given in Proverbs in Psalm. No, it might have been Proverbs. Flee fornication. I believe that it was a conversation. I know it was in the New Testament too, but it was also an the root of that, or should I say the foundation of that, was in the Psalms. It was in the Psalms. And it also showed up in Proverbs too. Hold on, I'm gonna pull up all three of those. Flee fornication is in 1 Corinthians 7:2. But here's the thing. You can't flee a thing, you don't have a definition for a thing that you've never experienced. You have to have a definition for a thing, right? Avoid fornication. Let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. We got reference points for this in the Old Testament, where people was abandoning the wife of their youth and trying to get the new model, because after women have babies, they're not exactly the same. And so these men were more interested in the surface things. They were more interested in what they were interested in. They weren't interested in a relationship. They were interested in what they could get physically from the relationship. So it was easy for them to move on. It was easy for them to move on, right? So you got that. But then in Proverbs, you see the simple one, the man, right? What we call a simp. I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Here we go. Proverbs chapter 5. Let your way be far from her and don't go near the door of her house. We're talking about the woman that's tempting the man. Her husband's gone, for a while, and she's trying to pull him into a situation. In Psalm also, it talks about, the concept at its foundational level, some things that are related to that, especially in one where it says, blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Your delight got to be such that it prevents you from going in certain directions. And until you learn to delight in the Father, then you'll experience all kinds of things, right? That are very challenging to your emotions and very challenging to a lot of stuff. But you'll learn if you are, desiring to know the way of Yah, then you'll learn things that you just won't repeat certain things. You won't repeat them. I promise you, you won't. Let me see where y'all at and what y'all saying. Ooh, I got so much more to talk to y'all about tonight, but I am thinking that I'm going to let y'all rest on this because I really want y'all to go back and listen to the last 3 days. My brother will be on tomorrow, Apostle Ace. He'll be with me Thursday and Friday. I'm excited about that because y'all know I love a good conversation. Yeah, I love a good conversation. So let me look and see. Give me a moment. I'm going to check and see if there's anything else I need to give you tonight. I'm sure I need to finish reading this. Let me see. I just want to make sure that I cover the territory because we've had a whole training tonight. I'm feeling like, Father, are we done? Let's finish talking about the sword of Enigma, the enigmatic sword. My tongue has been tied for the last couple of days. Enigmatic sword, the sword of Enigma. Every mystery carries an encryption key, and the mysteries come from the Father as well as they come from other places. Blessings, Prophet Ivan. But every word from Yah arrives locked. You got to understand that. That's why it's layers to things. You hear one thing on the surface, but you must understand that when the Father begins to declare a thing, that word arrived to you locked. Whatever you unlocked was something that you already had. You had a key somehow to that already, but it's still layers. That's why you can have a dream and still be unlocking the dream years from now. 8 years from now, I'm still unlocking some of the dreams that I had because they're progressively revealing themselves on different, in different seasons. All right. So these words that Yah releases, they arrive locked, they arrive sealed and encoded. But only the sword can separate the cipher from the substance. The cipher is the key or the code to unlock the enigma, right? Only the sword can separate cipher from substance, right? Only the sword can distinguish what was divinely concealed from what was diabolically confused. That's why discernment is necessary. And that's why we're called to that place of discernment. That's why relationship is critical. And what we're surrounding ourselves with is critical because a lot of people are finding themselves in states of confusion because of what they're surrounded by. Let me give you an example. Paul was in the city teaching. He taught his butt off, right? But by the time he got done with all that teaching and they started dealing with him for what he did when he was in that region, they threw Paul out for dead. They meant for Paul to die. They surrounded him. Death was surrounding him, but when death left, when the crowd of death left and the apostles found him, they surrounded him and he came back. You say, where's that? Acts chapter 19. Let me go pull it up for you. I'm going to pull it up for you. Yeah, I appreciate you. Acts chapter 19, I believe it is. Pulling it up right now. Let us see It's 14:19. I knew that 19 was in there. Acts chapter 14:19. They stoned him. Do you hear me? Stoned him and left him for dead. Threw him out of the city. Oh my gosh. And we be whining about somebody not agreeing with us. Huh. I don't care about that. Son shouldn't care about that kind of stuff because, listen, at the end of the day, you better know what's inspiring your words. You better know what breath you are receiving from. And if you're certain of the breath that you're receiving from and you have witness to the breath that you're receiving from, that means you're examining your own fruit, right? Did y'all know y'all can examine your own fruit? Uh-huh. You can examine your own fruit. Mm-hmm. I want to read this to you. Huh. Acts 14:19. The Bible tells us to examine ourselves, that's for sure. Yeah. He said, examine yourself, check yourself out to see if you even be in the faith. He said, examine yourself before you partake of the remembrance of the sacrifice. Because why? That's a holy thing. It's a sacred thing to remember the sacrifice. How are you going to remember a sacrifice that you don't even live by? Right? Okay, look. Acts chapter 14:19. I'm going to read 18. Even with these words, Paul and Barnabas could hardly stop the crowds from sacrificing to them. Because you got to understand. Let me go back. I'm going to have to read something to you because you got to understand what happens. And this is where a lot of leaders lose it. I'm going to show you something. Then I'm about to turn y'all loose because I feel another wind of teaching coming on me. And I need to let this go until tomorrow. I need to let this go. Let me see. I'm going to pull this out of here because I want to see you guys' comments while I'm doing this. And right now I've left my window. So let me pull this down. Are you guys with me? I'm excited to be teaching tonight. I'm having fun. Y'all know this is in my wheel. This is what I love to do. Okay. Did I pull it down? Where'd it go? I had it right here now. Quit playing. Okay, here we go. I was trying to pull it out of this window. Okay. Let me see if I put it up for you. 14:19, right? I'm going to put it up in that blue letter and I'll put it up on the screen for you. All I can hear is Blues Clues in my head. That's what happens when you have children and grandchildren. But it's related prophetically. Blues Clues for real. Oh my goodness. It's time for me to get off. It's time for me to get off the live. Why am I hearing Blues Clues in my head? That's funny. Are y'all with me? All right. Let's see what we got here. Oh my God, that's funny. Acts 14:19. Okay. Everybody else with me? You ready to read? Let's look at what we got here. Let me share my window here with you. Elder, you said you excited. You still up? Awesome. That's unusual. I love it. I love it. Y'all be glorified. Elder said, I'm excited. I'm still up. I'm excited too. I'm always excited about what the Father's doing with us. He's always doing something amazing with his sons. Always. All right, let me see here. Acts 14. All right. I got it up on the screen. If y'all ready, say yes. Elder already said yes. She said, let's go. I'm excited. I love it. I love excitement, especially about the word. That your excitement is exciting me. All right, let's look at this. We're going to go up a little bit because I want you to see what took place here. Um, and I want to show you how people are getting messed up. I want to show you something. So I want you to see where people are losing themselves, why they're losing themselves. Yeah, I want to show you something. So you be mindful of it as a leader, because many of you are coming into your leadership positions, you know, where the Father's requiring more things out of you. And so you got to be aware of these markers that create situations in you. That's why he's always desiring the intimacy of the relationship, because in the intimacy of the relationship, it keeps you from being drawn by these situations. You don't have voids in these areas, okay? Let's see. Okay, so we'll look at this right here. Let me see. Okay, let's start at verse 4. But the multitude of the city was divided, part held with the Jews and part held with the apostles. So you already know that these are two. When I tell y'all the church and the kingdom are two different things, there's your proof right there as well. Okay? Because we're not talking about Yehuda, which is where the word Jew comes from. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and prove it to you, because I don't want nobody to be in their feelings about me talking about that, because you got all these people saying these things about stuff they don't know nothing about, and it's very scary. Because some things are just ish, they are not it. They're ish, but they're not it. Okay, let's look at it. Let's look at it. Eodios is where this terminology comes from. And you see these things here, but you also see Judea or Yehuda, right? Now, why you have to study deeper than the surface is because this says, well, this is clear. Understand, this is what this is talking about in this passage. But you'll see this word in other sections of scripture or in other sections of the Bible. And in those other sections, it doesn't mean this. And the other sections is talking about Yehuda specifically. This is talking about this. Okay? This says belonging to Yehuda. So you got to understand where this came out of. This word was created. I'm not going into that tonight, but I will go into it tomorrow, because I know Braylon, who was trying to pull that out of me the other day, I've been doing a study and creating this scenario that I want to share with you guys so you can see the difference between literal translation and a transliteration. The translation goes word for word meaning. But when you got transliteration, it's dealing with the sound of words. And when you're dealing with the sound of words, people have taken the sound of words, even in, you'll find these instances as in the King James Version as well. But because they've literally translated word for word, then you can go back and you can identify more of what a thing is about. So when you're looking at this, you can go here and look at the etymology of the word, and you'll see it in the sense of country, and you'll see it in the sense of Yehuda, which is Yehuda, speaking of Judah, which is one of the tribes. But Ish is something that was created long after this was even established in the Old Testament, right? Yehuda was established, and then you have factions that came up after all of these different, captivities, and all of that stuff happened. Now you got people who are turned, and they're doing their own thing, and now they function and worshiping differently and all of these different things. And so you wind up with the Ish, right? Okay, let's go back. That was just a quick hit. We'll go over that tomorrow, about how to take words and make them mean something other than what they mean, and how that's been part of what we've identified with. I was talking about the colonization yesterday, and how we've been so colonized, spiritually colonized, and we only read what people have told us and we don't study. But that colonization is dangerous because you need to have clarity and you need to have understanding. And that understanding, that clarity needs to first come out of your intimate relationship with the Father, so that when you actually hear a thing, you know what you're hearing. When you hear words, you know what you're hearing. Like, when Mary went to the tomb, you remember? We were talking about her peeking and seeking and weeping and peeking the other day. But even though she didn't see the master as she saw him before, she didn't see him anywhere. She didn't realize that the gardener was him, right? But when she heard her name, see, when she heard her name, she knew who it was. So when you are having a strict diet of the word and you're in intimate conversation with the Father, absolutely, it's what create cults. I'm about to show you right now. And you have intimate, relationship with the Father, he protects you. He's the secret place from those things, from getting caught up in that stuff. So I'm just, when you see this from the leadership perspective, you'll understand it from your perspective and what your responsibility as a believer is. And this goes back to what you were talking about, Prophet Felicia. I'm looking for, and it's like, yeah, well, ask the Father what he wants to do. Because yes, you're a prophet, but prophets are not church toys. Somebody put that in the comments section. Prophets are not church toys. The fivefold are not church toys. And the truth of the matter is that most churches don't even use the fivefold. So what are we talking about anyway? Right? What's really going on? Okay. Acts 14:19. And there came thither certain Jews from Antioch and Iconium, who persuaded the people, and having stoned Paul, drew him out of the city, supposing he had been dead. Okay, that was where I was going, but I want to go back up here. That's where we were going to go first. Let's go here. Okay. But the multitude of the city was divided, and part held with the Jews and part with the apostles. That's your dividing line right there. And when there was an assault made both of the Gentiles and also of the Jews with their rulers, to use them despitefully and to stone them, they were aware of it. They felt some kind of way about that. They're like, I don't know about that. And fled unto Lystra and Derbe, cities of Lycaonia, and unto the region that lieth round about. And there they preached the gospel. Y'all know how I feel about the word gospel, but we'll deal with that another time. You understand? They preached the message of the kingdom. And there sat a certain man at Lystra, impotent in his feet, being a cripple from his mother's womb, who never had walked. Y'all know this story. And same heard Paul speak, who steadfastly beholding him and perceiving that he had faith to be healed, said with a loud voice, Stand upright on thy feet. And he leapt and walked. And when the people saw what Paul had done, they lifted up their voices, saying in the speech of Lycaonia, the gods are come down unto us in the likeness of men. Ooh, that's a whole conversation. Father, help me. I don't want to do that tonight. I'll have to do it tomorrow, which means y'all have to mark it in the comment section to go back over the conversation about the gods. I'm going to do that tomorrow anyway. Just somebody put it in the comment section. We're talking about the gods tomorrow, because we got to talk about these diabolic entities that are opposing you and how to deal with this stuff. We got to talk about that. Okay. So the gods are coming down to us in the likeness of man. And they called Barnabas Jupiter, and they called Paul Mercurius, because he was the chief speaker. Then the priest of Jupiter, which was before their city, I hope y'all are listening, because we have to go back over this. Then the priest of Jupiter, which was before their city, brought oxen and garlands unto the gates. Here we go with these gates. And would have done sacrifice with the people. Listen to what's happening here. These people are getting ready to sacrifice unto Paul and Barnabas, who they are now calling the gods, Jupiter and Mercurius. And when the apostles, Barnabas and Paul, heard it, they rent their clothes and ran in among the people, crying out. They ran in the midst of them. Hey, don't do this. What are you doing? We also are men of like passions with you, and preach unto you that you should turn from these vanities unto the living God, which made heaven and earth and the sea and all things that are therein, who in times past suffered all nations to walk in their own ways. These are critical conversations right here. Oh my God. Who in times past suffered all nations to walk in their own ways. Man, when you understand why they were walking in their own ways, and that there were gods over those regions that were originally under the jurisdiction of Yah, but they decided they wanted to do something else. That's a whole nother conversation too. We'll talk about it tomorrow. And they were challenged in Psalm 82 and in Psalm 86. So if you don't believe me, you can go look and see that Yah is the God of gods over the divine council of gods, over the mighty ones, okay? And that they were assigned to the nations, all right? Nevertheless, he left not himself without witness, in that he did good and gave us rain from heaven and fruitful seasons, filling our hearts with food and gladness. And with these sayings, scarce restrained they the people that they had not done sacrifice. They were still doing sacrifice unto them. Listen at this. You got to be, you got to pay attention. Pay attention. Got to pay attention. And there came thither certain Jews from Antioch and Iconium who persuaded the people, and having stoned Paul, drew him out of the city, supposing he had been dead. Howbeit, as the disciples stood around about him, he rose up and came into the city, and the next day he departed with Barnabas to Derbe. So it matters who you're surrounded by. But now tell me, because this is my inquisition to you in this moment, because I was showing you a place where leaders get messed up. Show me the verse that gives you the prophetic identity on how leaders get messed up. And the Jeopardy music begins. I'm going to have to get me some Jeopardy music and put it in my queue. Show me the place where leaders get consumed and get messed up. Because the Holy Spirit is showing you these are the things. Where somebody put the verse. I'm not going to show y'all. Tell me the verse. I'm going to stop sharing, as a matter of fact, because I want you to tell me. I'm going to go back up to it. Okay, I'm waiting. Give me the verse. Give me the verses. Give me the, the verses where this transition happened. Or where these things start falling into. Yeah, we talking about the gods tomorrow for sure. I'm waiting on that verse. And while I'm waiting on the verse, I'm going to keep having this discussion about this sword. The enigmatic sword. I got my tongue untied now. I got it back. Because I got a second wind. That's what happened. Okay. The sword of Yah never cuts for harm. Y'all know this. We talked about it. It cuts for translation. It cuts because it's trying to give you the language of something. It's trying to translate symbols and all of these other things that are coded in you into a language that you can identify. It's the technology of heaven that turns riddles into revelation, enigmas into encounter. Okay? And in this hour, the Father's not just speaking, he's decoding us. He's not speaking for the sake, he never speaks for the sake of speaking. He's never just merely speaking. His words are always a decoding mechanism for sons, if we can hear it. Because what he wants to do is he wants to unveil what he's hid inside of you before the foundations of the world. He put something in you, something of great value, and now he wants to come for it. It's a hope of glory that's in you. It's a hope of his doings that's located in you. So this is what a word that he gave me. He said, woe to the one who mistakes the incision for injury. That cut that he wants to do on you. You're thinking it's an injury. It's not an injury. It's an incision that is about permission, that's going to allow you to see what angels long to look into. Permission to see what angels long to look into. Permission to remember who you were before the encryption of flesh concealed the eternal data that he put there. So you got to allow yourself to feel the edge of that sword. Yeah, the sharpness is there. You can feel it entering your atmosphere. You can. That sword is drawn, but it's not to destroy you. It's to differentiate you. It's to separate you. Not only to separate you externally, but to separate you internally. And we've already had the conversation about the dividing asunder of soul and spirit. And this is where the joints and marrow came in, because one of the ways that you can change a person's whole blood type is through bone marrow transplant, the marrow. But by and large, you really can't change your blood type. Your blood type is your blood type, but that's the beauty of the cross. Or should I say the beauty of the sacrifice? Y'all know I still have to correct my language from time to time because I was born and raised in the church. So somebody said, well, what's wrong with the cross? What's wrong with saying that? It was the tree. It was called the tree. It was a stake. It wasn't the same symbol. It wasn't the same image that they gave us, although it was the same sacrifice. Somebody might say that doesn't matter, but it matters to me. Truth matters to me. Right? Yeah. The sigma, this enigma is not punishment. The sword of enigma is not punishment. It's important that you understand that that differentiation that the Father is trying to do, again, is not just outside of you, what he's separating or whom he's separating you from, but it's what he's separating in you because of the chambers, right? This is where that cry out from a young person came from me. Deliver me or protect me. Keep me from hidden sin. That thing was, when I tell you that was a thing for me. Yeah, it was a thing for me. Little did I know, right? Nobody put the verse in the thing? Why y'all didn't put the verse where the leader's gonna go south if they don't have it together? The verse is. Y'all didn't show me the verses. In Acts 14. I'm still waiting on the verse. Y'all playing. Okay. So you're not being, the sword is not to cut you off. It's to restore you to your original code. Your identity needs to be intact. And that's what the Father is dealing with, the identity of the sons in this season. That's why a lot of things got to be cut. Every incision he makes in us is an unveiling. Yeah. He's opening seals, opening the archives of what he's put in you, the archives of eternity that he's put inside of you. That's why you got so many questions, but you need to ask the questions until you get an answer. Dig it out. Be a king. That's what the master did by his sacrifice. He made us kings and priests unto our God. Come on, elder. All right. That's the beginning of it. Okay, the division. But what are the exact verses that show where a leader can get messed up at? Where are the leaders going south? And Paul didn't. They did not. You're hot, but you ain't scorching yet, elder. You're in the vicinity, but you above the vicinity. Okay? Father wants to reintroduce you to you in this season. And that's why the decoding is necessary. But that's also why the sword is necessary. Because it's many different facets of this sword, and I'm probably going to have to talk about the sword some more tomorrow. Many different facets of this sword. Yeah, it's many different facets. It's the stuff that's meant for us and the stuff that's meant for our adversaries. Definitely. Yeah. It's not a war. It's revelation by way of incision. This is the word of Yah performing surgery on creation itself, dividing shadow from substance, and language from light. This is where the mysteries begin to speak. So the need for cutting is imperative if the sons are going to identify the victory that's been given to us. The only other option is to resist the finished work, who by obedience conquered what the first Adamic regime perpetuated and become ignorantly estranged from Yah, the Father who bought us with the blood and the life of the Mashiach, and we ain't doing that. The cutting is necessary. It's imperative. Because without it, we can't align. And you know, cutting has to do with covenant. Definitely has to do with covenant. It has to do with covenant. So I'm going to turn y'all loose. Let me give you the answer. I'm going to give you the answer. Um, verse um, verse 7. Let's start there. And there they preached the message of the kingdom. And there sat a certain man at Lystra, an impotent in his feet, being a cripple from his mother's womb, who never had walked. The same heard Paul speak, who steadfastly beholding him and perceiving him that he had, perceiving that he had faith to be healed, said with a loud voice, "Stand upright on thy feet." And he leapt and walked. And here we go. Here's the answer. Verse 11. And when the people saw what Paul had done, they lifted up their voices, saying in this speech of Lycaonia, "The gods are down to us in the likeness of men." And they called Barnabas Jupiter and Paul Mercurius, because he was the chief speaker. Then the priest of Jupiter, which was before their city, which tells you that there was already a priest of Jupiter in the city. There was already establishment of hierarchies, of diabolic hierarchies that were already existing in the city. And when you understand dominions, you'll understand the hierarchy of their kingdoms as well. The priest of Jupiter, it says, understand, they thought that Barnabas was Jupiter. So this is a priest of Jupiter that went before the city and brought oxen and garlands unto the gates and would have done sacrifice with the people. But here, that's where people get messed up, because they're doing something that they're called to. They're doing something that they're anointed for. But when the people start worshiping them, they don't do what Barnabas and Paul did. They don't say, "Hey, don't do that." Now, honor is honor. Honor is one thing, but worship is another. Honor is one thing, but worship is another, right? And this is the age that we are seeing more leaders so messed up, because worship has taken them clean out of their mind. Worship is taking them clean out of their mind. Not to mention that what happens is, when you don't allow yourself to be consistently cut, you begin to get comfortable in your own ideas and perceptions of what you already, have experienced, So the word that you already knew, you think that that's the only word, and you don't understand the progression of the word of Yah. You don't understand the layers, so you get stuck, right? And then you make a doctrine, and then you got a cult. Yeah, because nothing's moving anymore. It's just moving around this. It's moving around just the personality. It's moving around just, that. And that's taking the people away from the Father instead of pointing them to him. Right? All right. I love y'all. I'm about to get off of here. Thank you for being with me tonight. I'm excited about you being here, and I look forward to being with you tomorrow. My brother will be on. Apostle Ace will be on with me tomorrow and Friday, and I'm looking forward to that conversation, because we're going to talk about the gods tomorrow, the gods in the garden and all kind of stuff tomorrow. We'll still be having some conversations about the sword, because I'm not done with that conversation unless the Holy Spirit tell me to be done with it. But I believe I have some more things that I want to share with you about the sword. But we'll see. We'll see what the Father has to say about that. All right. I love you. Remember, the body is not a me thing. It's a we thing. You're blessed, and don't forget it. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Until that time, shalom, shalom.